He's got to speak to Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winner. Moises Caicedo, one of the most expensive midfielders in the world. Cole Palmer, potentially one of the best players in the world. And he's got to get his message across quite quickly.
When you're talking about the inconsistency levels that we've experienced this year, whether it be from the first half to the second half or game to game, we have been awful at times this season.
Do I feel sorry for Maresca? No. I thank him because, to win the Club World Cup, Joe's going to give no credit at all at the conference. Most of them makes the Chelsea fans, right? And I get all of those little WhatsApp messages and, complain about this, complain about that. We've got to make sure we make this as easy for him because this is a tough game.
You don't have to do what the manager said to go to the right back, to then go to the midfield, to then go back, to then go to... You don't have to do that. There needs to be someone on the sideline that is open to players thinking and making decisions on the pitch.
He has got my 100% backing. 100% backing.
Hello and welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans by Chelsea fans. I'm Joe Flemons, and on this massive day for Chelsea Football Club, it's never a quiet day for Chelsea Football Club, in fairness. I'm joined by the brilliant lineup: Jason Cundy, Jody Morris, Djellab. Boys, it's lovely to be in your company again, and plenty to talk about. So, Jason, let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it.
Yep.
Have a new manager.
We do. It's a familiar feeling, this, as a Chelsea fan. Not just the last 10, 15 years, but, over the last 30 years. This is something that we've become accustomed to. I've always said that the biggest decision the club will ever make is... The easy one is getting rid of a manager. The next one is that it becomes even bigger than that. And it looks like Liam Rosenior almost certainly is going to be Liam at the time of recording. I wish him all the best. This is a very difficult club to manage, but also what a chance he's got. Honestly, you can only imagine how he must be feeling now. He's done his apprenticeship, obviously with Rooney at Derby, Hull, gone to Strasbourg. It does feel as though this has been, in place because of the Blue Code, Clear Lake model, the ownership with Strasbourg. It also feels it's come a little bit sooner than most people felt was going to happen. I think maybe another year, 18 months would have been his apprenticeship, and that might well have happened. But football changes quickly, as we saw. Maresca, 12th of December, voted Manager of the Month for November. Fast forward 3 weeks, he's gone. That's football, and that can be Chelsea Football Club.
Jody, you've had that phone call. You've had that phone call to say you're part of the team we want to guide this football club forward. What's Liam Rosenior going to be feeling this sort of early period of being given the nod? Because we know that the run of fixtures that he's got coming up, he's got a couple of really important games. He's not going to be in place for the Fulham game, obviously. Charlton's going to be his first one. Arsenal in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, not far away. And let's be honest, right, we're all Chelsea fans. We could be sitting here talking about a Champions League win because that's kind of what this football club does. So how does he feel in this immediate aftermath?
I think he'll have an element of excitement for sure. The fact that you've been looking at wherever you start your coaching career, I mean, if you want to get to the top, you're going to have to obviously build your way up to the Premier League, and he's going right in at one of the big clubs in this country. I'm pleased to see an English coach get a run at it, and we all know, and Jace touched on it, he's got a relationship with the people upstairs. He's worked under them at Brighton as well when he was coaching in the academy, so it looks like it's been in the post. But like how quickly your post arrives can sometimes be a little bit of a toss-up, won't it? But I imagine as well that the coaching him and the how well he's done at Strasbourg, there'd be a little bit of like, I'm leaving halfway through a season. But listen, it's a big jump managing Strasbourg to Chelsea. But when you're working for the same owners and you're following the same sort of structure in how they want to run a football club, I imagine the transition will be easier than most.
He's gone to big school, isn't it? You know, when you're in primary school and you're associated with a secondary school, it's just that next leap into year 7 for him.
He's absolutely done that. I mean, there are obviously a couple of things that he's said straight away. This is immediate sort of aftermath that we've got. I'm about to become the new Chelsea manager, one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's an unbelievable opportunity, an incredible club, the world champions, and one I just couldn't turn down. And I can go home and see my kids. I've made a sacrifice being away from them. So these are all really important things, but the one thing that keeps standing out, and he's mentioned it twice there, he is going to the biggest club in the world champions. It's a massive jump, But when you're a young coach and you back yourself like Liam Rosenior, I'm sure does, what an opportunity.
Yeah, I think Jody summed it up really well there. Like any coach, this is the ultimate dream, to be able to manage one of these big clubs, one of these clubs that are consistently battling for the top trophies, the top titles, that play in Europe consistently, that give you a squad worth hundreds of millions of pounds with some of the best players, international players, the best players of the current crop out there in the world. And so, yeah, it's the ideal kind of thing for him to have done. I think if you'd have said to any Chelsea fan or any football fan when he was at Hull or even Derby that, yeah, give it a few years, this guy will be managing Chelsea Football Club, I think a lot of people would have been quite surprised. But he's done his apprenticeship, I guess, and made his way there. And look, I'm sure we'll touch upon it in time, but I think there are fans out there who are definitely frustrated with how things have gone. But in terms of the new manager and his appointment, I think a lot of people just have to now back him and be interested to see what he can do with this side as well, because that's one thing I'm sure he's very excited at. To go and look at this Chelsea side and go, cool, I've got Reece James there as the captain, who every single game is proving how incredible he is, whether it's at right back or in midfield. I've got Cole Palmer there. I've got Cucurella. You know, it keeps Caicedo. It keeps going. I'm sure he's very excited to just get onto that kind of training ground and get things going. I was going to say, Jody, you know, when you first did your first training session, what was that like? How, when you first meet the players, the crop of guys that you're going to be dealing with for the next year or so, however long it may be? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was slightly different because we was in pre-season. Yeah. And it's a lot easier going in at a football club at the start of pre-season, knowing that you've got a few weeks and building into it. It's, I imagine it will be slightly different when you're going in during the season and you've got to get accustomed to the players. If I was Liam, I'd be trying to watch as many videos and get as many up to date as however the performances have gone recently. But just touching again on like Liam's apprenticeship, he's done more before getting this Chelsea job than Enzo Maresca did. So let's not forget about that. And Enzo Maresca won 2 trophies for us last year. Liam's been coaching for a long while and been at more clubs than what Enzo Maresca has. So I think you look at some of the best coaches or the best managers, sometimes throwing them in the deep end is exactly what they need.
So, yeah, plenty of chat, obviously, about Liam Rosenior doing the right things before he gets the Chelsea job. Jace, the example of the ownership perhaps wanting someone that they know and they can trust, it feels like now that might be a modern football approach, but it's one that some Chelsea fans feel a bit uneasy about. Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the modern game now, it really is shifting. It's going away from the Ancelottis, the Jose Mourinhos. That era, it was magnificent, by the way. But the football is shifting, and I think what we've seen, Arteta is number one culprit because of what happened. He had his relationship with Pep. Done extremely well working under Pep, then he's gone to Arsenal. And you can see exactly what Arsenal have done. Arsenal right now are probably, Joe and I were talking before the show, about how well they are set now. This squad is built to win the biggest honours. And that takes time. And the problem that you've got is when you go to a young coach, Joe just mentioned there about going into that first training session. Rosenior's got to go in now and he's got to speak to Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winner. You know, Moises Caicedo, one of the most expensive midfielders in the world. Cole Palmer, potentially one of the best players in the world. And he's got to get his message across quite quickly because when I played, and Jody would have played as well, your first, the manager you tend to get was one vastly experienced. Yeah. That you're waiting for them to inspire and get the best out of you. This is very, very different. This is a young coach. He has coached, by the way, the youngest squad in all the top 5 divisions in Strasbourg in Europe. So he is used to coaching young players, getting the best out of them. And from what I've seen, and it's seen a huge amount of French football, his reputation is very, very high. So I think that pathway was always there. But of course, when you're managing Chelsea, it's so different. It's a totally different animal to Strasbourg.
Well, they're the two things, aren't they? They're the two things that Liam Rosenior is going to have to do. It's one, it's going to be about his approach, how he's going to manage players that have accomplished more as a player than he has, which is, you know, not unfair to say.
And also not secondly, uncommon.
No, not uncommon, absolutely. But also his versatility, right? And his ability to adapt. Because that was the one thing that Graham Potter, we felt as fans, struggled a little bit. When you're trying to tell Raheem Sterling how to play wing-back, that doesn't quite tick the box you're
Maybe a
after,
few other
right?
issues as well, but
Yeah, exactly. But that for me is going to be where the next big tick will be next to Liam Rosenior, right? It'll be about his adaptability, and from everything we've seen, the way that he communicates, the way he speaks to people, that's something that he has in abundance.
Yeah, I mean, when you've seen his interviews and when he talks to press and even the little halftime changing room videos, he comes across very well. I think it's something he's done even when he was a pundit as well, going into coaching. I think he talks about football beautifully. I think he's able to get his message across, his understanding of the game. He's able to articulate it in a way where you get a balanced view and you understand both sides from him as well. And you can, it's no surprise that he's been able to do and translate that into coaching so well. And so I think, from that side of things, Chelsea fans definitely have something to look forward to. And look, I'm sure he's not naive to assume that, it's going to be different talking to this Chelsea squad and a room full of internationals, and we mentioned the likes of Cole Palmer, so on and so forth, over £100 million on someone like Caicedo. But I guess for him as well, it's about still working in this structure. I think that's probably kind of what ended up getting Maresca the boot in the end. It's keeping within this structure and making sure that the guys above you are also happy with their decisions.
That's it, isn't it? That's what
it's managing upwards.
Yeah,
as well
that's what the people online that are against the decision will say, that Liam Rosenior is a yes man that is already under the umbrella that can come in and do that.
But he'll communicate it a lot better than Enzo Maresca did to the I think that's where Zach was leading with. If you're a Chelsea fan, I think you're going to understand what's going on at the football club a lot better with Liam communicating it to you.
Because he's eloquent and he can...
And also he knows how it works anyway. So
process.
We'll get a better view of kind of what's going on, albeit I'm sure it ain't all going to be roses. Football never is. But like I said, I just think from a Chelsea fan, we'll maybe get a little bit more from Liam with regards to how kind of everything's going on. And I think that's what you want as a fan, is that you like to know as much information as possible.
Sorry, I was just going to... One of the things that I think is crucial for him, and I think actually under the new ownership, I say new, it's been God knows how many years. But under this ownership, one of the things that I think managers have struggled with for a few years now is not actually building that connection with the fans.
100%.
Tuchel did an amazing job. Obviously, it was helped with winning the Champions League. You guys and Lampard, obviously, there was always that connection there. Potter, I think, really struggled with that. I think Poch at times had a little bit of that, but ultimately...
Got it towards the end, didn't he?
Towards the end, however, after that 5-0 defeat to Arsenal, he could have gone then, to be honest. And Maresca, there were times he was close, and then there were other times where he was just nowhere near. And we saw what happened with that Cole Palmer substitution as well. Maybe that was kind of him at the end thinking, I can't keep doing this if I'm being forced to make these subs and then getting the blame for it. But I think something that he could go in with straight away, and it's not going to happen instantly, he's going to have to build it, but that he should work on is having that relationship, especially with the Stamford Bridge crowd. Because it really is like the 12th man. I always think sometimes, I go back to the game, I think you were probably in the dugout there with Lampard, of Chelsea against Ajax.
4-4.
4-4.
Yeah.
One of the best atmospheres I've ever been a part of. Obviously, Ajax had a man sent off and so on and so forth. But I do think, when you can have the crowd on side with you, it is a super intimidating place to come to, Stamford Bridge. And if he can do that and get the fan base on side, and obviously, ultimately, it's down to results. But he can do that.
Can I just say also, because it's not Liam Rosenior's fault that he's found himself in this situation.
100%.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Okay, and we all have, most of my mates are Chelsea fans, right? And I get all of those little WhatsApp messages and, complain about this, complain about that. Largely, I think what we all need to do is, because he's still a young man, he's obviously hugely ambitious, articulate, as we've highlighted there. We've seen him on Sky, they've seen the speeches. I think as a fan base, we've got to make sure we make this as easy for him, because this is a tough gig. This is coming in halfway through a season at any football club's tough.
Yeah, good point.
But right here, right now, as a fan base, as a collective, behind him as a manager and the team, and I don't expect anything different, by the way, because I expect the Chelsea fans to do that, because we're a loyal bunch. But this one here right now, because I don't know what the length of the contract is going to be, but these next 4 months are so big for so many different reasons. He has got 8 games now, I think, 8 taken away, in all 4 competitions. He's got an FA Cup game, first game in charge. It's Arsenal, semi-final. He's got the second leg. Then he's got Champions League. We don't know what's happening there. That might be out of our reach. Then he's got these unbelievable games in the Premier League to try and get top 4, top 5. And I think, from my point of view, He has got my 100% backing. 100% backing.
Do expectations change though? Like, you know, at the start of the season, we were saying, you know, it has to be Champions League qualification.
No, I don't think they do.
And possibly a trophy.
No,
yeah, it's still the same expectations.
My expectations have not changed because the squad is more than capable. Our problem isn't playing against. We saw against.
Well, they just went away to City, without a manager and got through it.
I mean, Charlton away, you think, dear. I mean, to be honest with you, my expectations at City away were very low, were really low, and I was so proud of what I saw. But over the next 8 games, going into February, these are huge games for us as a club, as a fan base, for him as a manager, and I can't honestly. I'm really excited about it as well. But change is always difficult. But I'm excited.
I think the excitement comes from Liam Rosenior being someone that you can get behind because of the way that he communicates and because of there aren't that many managers that you can go onto YouTube and you can see immediately 8 videos of him mic'd up taking a training session. You can watch him tactically completely analyse an opposition team from his time on Sky. You can see him on the touchline at Strasbourg doing something mid-game against Monaco in the last month or so. He's been very open to showing the world what he's about, right? So that, for me as a fan, is exciting because I know what we're going to get. With Enzo Maresca, the big thing for me was it's such a big jump I've not seen if you're capable of doing that. So when he did it, it's different. Whereas Liam Rosenior, I'm going, I've not seen you do the jump. I've seen enough to think you are the right person in this situation now. And like you pointed out, Jody, right, that the difference between Enzo when he first come in and Liam when he comes in now is Liam's ahead of him. In terms of the difference now, because Enzo Maresca is a Club World Champion and he's won the Conference League, they're the only 2 differences immediately. If Liam Rosenior can get a tune out of Cole Palmer in the next month, Chelsea fans can be singing his name.
But also, I never like to see managers lose their jobs, whether he walks away, whether he's got sacked. We're not too sure about that at the minute. But we have underperformed highly this season. Like, there's no getting away from that fact. Like you said, we can praise Enzo Maresca because he's got 2 trophies. One of them, for me, is nonsense, but the Club World Cup is a big trophy, and the performance against PSG in the final is the best final performance I've seen from a Chelsea team. So he deserves pats on the back for that. But when you're talking about the inconsistency levels that we've experienced this year, whether it be from the first half to the second half or game to game, we have been awful at times this season. So I'm excited to know let's see whether Liam can get a little bit more consistency behind the team because it's something that we've lacked.
Can I ask everyone a question here, right? Our discipline record is terrible, right? And that comes, from my opinion, of yours, it's because we are a young team. And I watched, I saw Djellab coming on. He's got more yellow cards than goals, right? That's got to flip around. And Maresca was part of that as well. I think if he can bring that element to us, be more disciplined, don't pick up. I mean, our red cards at times are absolutely. So there's those little mini things because they change moments of seasons. Massively. We've got no Caicedo against Arsenal. We had no Caicedo against City. These are little things. I just wonder what that. And that seems quite an easy thing, Joe.
He feels a more calming influence.
It does feel quite an easy thing. I would. You tell me to get across to the squad. Come on, we can't keep picking up these ridiculous red cards.
But that's why I almost think the same regarding our form. I'm like, we are so inconsistent that I think it ain't going to take that much to have an improvement on where we've been in this season so far. And I think they're easy ones. I agree. I mean, if you're a manager and you're coming and going, what's the problems we need to address this year? It will be losing players and stupid mistakes that, beginning of the season would lead into goals and changing of sending-offs that change the whole game in the first couple of minutes. They're easy to touch on, by the way, because you go, it's only similar to what Thomas Tuchel would have done when he came in and went, right, I've checked a load of the things that we need to address with this current team, don't need to change a lot. We actually just need to tweak a few little things. And those things there, and I think you're right, Jace, they're easy. If you're a manager that is worth anything, you want to come and touch and hit the ground running with things that give you an instant little impact or a little bounce.
It was games like, I think one of Maresca's best things that he had was in big games, he would actually he'd do, obviously, and I'm sure he'd analysed a lot of clubs, but big games specifically, it felt like Chelsea, whenever Chelsea were the underdog, he would analyse how to get at the opposition because they were going to give us a little bit more space. They were going to give us more opportunity because they were trying to attack. They were trying to bring the game to us. And I think he'd always do very well in that. Obviously, as we saw, Barcelona, PSG, that's where Chelsea had some fantastic games there. One of the things, and I do think Rosenior will appreciate this and give maybe more understanding to it due to his kind of experience now as a coach, but also being from the Premier League as well, is games like Leeds away, Bournemouth away, games where I think maybe traditionally you think, look, we can just rock up there, they might play a little bit of a low block, but we'll end up scoring a goal or so. I'm sure he does. Maresca was a lot more analysing that. But it felt like sometimes we didn't give enough respect to the opposition. I always think Leeds away most recently. They changed formation. And even little things like that, comments where Maresca would be afterwards going, I didn't think they were going to play a 3 at the back, or I thought they were going to play a 3 at the back. And it's like, well, managers can make different decisions. They're not going to always be the same.
Just on that, right? We struggle. So you look at our record against the big sides, right? You'll go there. They come on to us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? They present a different scenario to teams that are going to sit deep, the Brentfords away, the Leeds away. They will sit. Our kryptonite, and this is something, if he can get round this, boy, we got something going for us. When teams sit deep, we seem to come up and we lose. When I commentate the games, we seem to lose heart quite quickly. And it's like, this brick wall's there, we don't know how to get round them. And those teams you mentioned there, Arsenal come onto us. Could have beat them. Barcelona come on to us. Man City come on to us. Liverpool come on to us. All these teams, and I think there's an element of that. And you play against Palace at home in the first game of the season.
Be up for it as much as you are for Arsenal.
Right, but it's not just being up for it. I think tactically,
definitely.
there's a brick wall, and I think Maresca struggled there.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but there's also the other side of it is these teams that you're mentioning there that we've done well against, they want to play from the back. OK, Liverpool a little bit more direct, but that gives the manager an opportunity to show what the team's made of pressing. When we're playing against a team that don't want to build from the back, we don't get an opportunity to press and win the ball back high up the pitch because we're having to then watch it go over our heads and then compete. And that's one of the things that, when it comes to competing first and second balls and matching teams that are going over our press, we haven't faced our own goal well enough and picked up second balls well enough. And like
how easy is that then to change? Because we can see something. We've all just had an opinion on it, but when you tactically go there, let's say Palace away, right? I mean, they're 3 at the back. Glasner, excellent manager. He has got to come up with a formula or a way to get around that and still compete and look dangerous.
I also think that you can go into too much focus on how the other team are going to play. So when you're going, they're going to build with 3 at the back. We said off air that I knew that Enzo Maresca was looking at videos from years ago to do with the Cardiff manager playing 3 at the back. If you watch Cardiff all season, they played 4 and they press high up the pitch. Hence why they put us under so much pressure and was better than us in large spells. I think there's an element sometimes if you're going, we're Chelsea, we're going up against Cardiff, they play 3 or 4, it doesn't matter. If they want to compete and have a fight, we match that. Yeah. If we do what we're capable of doing in possession of the ball, that's one thing we haven't done well this year, is we haven't looked after the football well enough in possession, which I felt we done better last season. We've looked more vulnerable at the turnover of the football.
Is that where Enzo Maresca... Did he overthink things? Because that's been a criticism that's labelled at Pep, right? Since and obviously he's a Pep disciple, but did he overthink?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know without being in and around it, but there are certain things where worrying about whether a team's going to build with 3 at the back or 4 at the back, and you're going up against a Cardiff or a Lincoln or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's not showing disrespect. That's going, don't matter what team we put out, we're better than them in all areas. Yeah. Let's concentrate on us on the ball, and especially when, like what Jason's saying, when teams are sitting off and they're like harder to break down, let's work on that a little bit more. Like, do you know what I mean? About trying to get the most out of the players when there's 2 blocks in front of you.
Zach, in terms of Enzo's tenure, obviously he leaves with 2 trophies in his back pocket. He's now going to be forever synonymous with Chelsea Football Club. How do Chelsea fans feel about that departure?
I think Chelsea fans are definitely frustrated, but I think they're more frustrated at the board level. You know, it's not like Emerson Maresca got sacked and it was Chelsea being linked with, it would never happen, but say like Jurgen Klopp, Luis Enrique, like the biggest names out there, like traditionally we've always been used to over the years. It wasn't like that was happening. Instead, it was almost instantly, it was straight to, it's going to be inside the house. You know, we're going to go to our sister club, obviously in the Blue Co project, and take the manager from there because this is kind of what he's been building up to for the last few years. It's part of the way we want to play our football. It's an easier, it's something they believed in for a long time. I mean, there were reports, God, it felt back in like September that they felt like he was somebody down the line that could be a manager of Chelsea. And so I think it's less that they're frustrated at, say, the fact that Maresca went. I've got a few mates of mine who were quite keen for Maresca to move on, to be honest. But it was more due to the setup and the system, and Chelsea fans aren't used to this of being a club that take in a project manager. Even though it's kind of been like it for 3 years now, they're not used to this. They're more used to going out and getting the best guy out there right now. And look, I actually think the manager pool, to be honest, isn't amazing right now out there that are like available to just go and snatch. Like I know Xavi, who had a great time at Barcelona, is there, but that wasn't even a name that was considered really when you were looking at the reports. So I think Chelsea fans are just frustrated at, I guess, the top dogs more so than just the fact
we're a
that
different football club.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate,
we're a totally different football club.
We are.
We used to go for best in class.
Yeah.
That was who we were. Mm-hmm. You look back over the managerial appointments, and when you look back at who we had under Roman, and honestly, it is just a collection of some of the best managers of that generation. And I think football is moving away from that. I genuinely feel that it's not just us. Man United find themselves in the same situation now. What do? They've gone down. They're going to go down. Well, they're similar, certainly with the sporting directors. And I think football is changing.
Because for that, right? Because you would place on, I suppose, on record. That's good planning if that's always their plan, right? If they've got that line of progression, that's what you want from an ownership structure, is to say, if he goes tomorrow, who's the next guy in the door? So
they have an idea.
Yeah, so if that plan's already in place, or that structure's already in place, because it's the same as if Cole Palmer was to leave tomorrow, I'd want to know that Chelsea have already got someone lined up to go, right, Cole Palmer goes tomorrow, by Friday morning we've got the next guy in the door. So that's the difficulty, right? Because that's modern football, but that is what planning has now become.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
What are we thinking about the type of football, though? So when we're talking about Enzo Maresca leaving the football club, and same, Zach, I've got friends that are going, yeah, I'm not too bothered that he's gone, as well as having the arguments upstairs. The type of football that we're looking to play, it looks like at the moment that Liam is quite similar to Enzo Maresca as far as wants to build from the back and stuff like that, but I think one of the reasons why Chelsea fans weren't kicking off left, right and centre about Enzo Maresca is the type of football that was being played at Stamford Bridge. It classed as boring, slow, recycle, like passes between the back all the time. Do we need to have an element to reconnect the fans at Stamford Bridge where there has been a disconnect? Do we need to have an element of a bit more excitement at Stamford Bridge?
Just stick a camera on Jason Cundy, to be honest with you. I mean, how many microphones have gone through this?
No,
I'd be intrigued, to see that because.
But on that, how much do you think that is? If I managed against Chelsea, I know exactly how I would set my team up. It'd be something like a 4-5-1, 5-4-1. Sorry, that's how I would set up, right? And I just wonder whether that passing, and I've watched it, Joe. You and I've done the comms on it. It's almost. There, pass there. It's backwards, sideways, backwards.
Yeah.
I just wonder whether that tactically, that we never quite knew under Maresca how to get around that. And it's tough. It's hard. Sometimes you can, for 70 minutes, you're up against this well-organised, well-drilled, well-disciplined side. I just wonder at times whether we could be a little bit more, certainly from their set pieces. And I felt we developed under that. I felt that Sanchez, come and get it, bowls the ball out. Barcelona, we would do that.
Different to Brentford at the start of the season.
And I just wonder whether that there's...
We went back in our ways against Bournemouth. Against Bournemouth, we lost all of that again.
I just feel... But I don't think these are huge... Yeah. These don't take hours, in my opinion, on the training ground. I think this is an element of, and some teams do it really well, set piece, keeper gets it, or even recycle keeper gets it, bang, you go. We got Neto. got Gittins.
Yeah, we have
got
done that a
Garnacho.
bit. We've done that a bit.
We have done that. We've done that more. But I just think that.
Did the Man City game not showcase that it's inherently in the squad as well? Because I thought several times Neto would be on the break, going down the wing, and then turn back and go back to the centre-back. Like, funny enough, a few of my mates when we were watching it together were saying, God, the amount of times Chelsea get down that wing and then just go back to the centre-back. And obviously, I guess it is that Pep disciple where, if you have the ball, you're never going to concede.
Is that what Liam Rosenior can do then? He can give that creative freedom to players a bit more. And Esteval's a prime example, right? You've got to be careful. You've got to manage his minutes. We understand that he's a young player.
We probably saw a better
league.
Palmer because of that.
Well,
under
yeah.
Poch, when Palmer didn't have maybe as much of a role, like
the shackles were off.
Go and
play.
Probably saw him better like that.
Is that what he should be doing? Because Cole Palmer's a very interesting topic, right? Because we saw his best football under Poch. Yeah. We haven't quite seen his best under Maresca. We've seen a little bit frustrated at times. We heard him in the Conference League final. So
early part Maresca got the best.
I just had a pop. But early part. But I think for Cole Palmer, certainly, he's someone that you don't want to build your football club around one player, but he's a special talent that we've sat here.
When you've got a maverick
about.
and you've got someone of that technical ability, and I think Esteval's got that as well. I do think he has got potential to be a generational talent. You do want to take the shackles off a bit. Like, you've got to let them enjoy it and let them feel like the game. And that doesn't mean that they negate like their defensive responsibilities, but when we have the ball, they've got to have freedom to go and pick up pockets all over the pitch rather than that pass goes to there, you then move to there, you then move to there. Because as much as that is maybe predictable football for us to watch as fans, it's just as predictable for the opposition. Hence why we maybe struggle to break some teams down. Like, I do think that it's an easy win for letting the shackles off come off a couple.
Isn't
of
that a
players.
football problem, not just a Chelsea problem?
Yeah.
I look across the Premier League now. Yeah. Where is the Gareth Bales? Where are the Eden Hazard? Where are Thierry Henry's? I don't think this is just a Chelsea. I think this is a modern style of football where they are so regimental in the build-up, and I thought Maresca was very much part of that.
But that was my point in going, why are we worried about whether they're building with a three at the back and all that? If you've got a team like that can get after the ball and press and go after it, sometimes you don't even have to have the perfect setup press to win the ball back. You force mistakes because of your energy. Same goes when you're attacking and you want to make some passes. Sometimes it doesn't. You don't have to do what the manager said to go to the right back, to then go into the midfield, to then go back, to then go to. You don't have to do that. Right? Do you know what I mean? But there needs to be someone on the sideline that is open to players thinking and making decisions on the pitch.
Yeah. Football's cyclical as well, right? Because 18 months ago, you wouldn't have dreamt of long throws and set pieces being the game changer. And people like Sam Allardyce were barked out of the game because they were told that you're not keeping up
I think this
with it.
Conversation is the reason of it. I think Pep. The reason there's long throws is because of Pep.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's got to lead so someone can chase.
So,
right?
so you've got to find a way. So if someone's keeping the ball and they're passing you to death, and it's when you do get a chance, and these smaller clubs, get the ball in the box. How can we disrupt that? Well, if the ball's in the air and there's chaos, the teams who want the ball on the ground can't deal with it. I think Pep is in some ways has created this, and that's. I don't want to give him too much credit, but I think Arteta was the first to realise that. That's why set pieces become so important now, because these are moments in games, and when they get the ball, City, you might not see it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then they recruit for that as well, though. You look at all the players that Arsenal have brought in.
Yeah,
they're all
monsters. Yeah.
They're all big and physical. Like, if you look at some of the ones that we've been bringing in, and if we're going to sit here and be honest, recruitment ain't been good enough. So whatever we say about what's going on at Chelsea Football Club at the minute, you can't be looking at a Cole Palmer and an Esteval going, oh yeah, what great signings they are, because for every two you've got of them, there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of others that you go, well, where do they get in the team? Are they better than what we had before? Not quite sure they are.
So just fine on Enzo Maresca. Do we feel sorry for him because he's linked with a Man United job now?
Feeling sorry for him. What am I meant to say there?
Nobody wants a United job, mate. No one deserves that.
I couldn't care less what he does now. He's no part of my life. But look, I'll thank him. He came in. It's a tough gig managing Chelsea. And there's been so much change over the last 4 years since March of 22, when Roman was forced out, the sanctions, all of that. This football club has seen so much change from where we were to where we are now, and we're trying to find our way through. And there are so many obstacles. There's financial fair play. There's all sorts of things going on upstairs. Selling of the women's team, hotels. There's all of this that's going on. Managerial change, the complete restructuring of the squad. I mean, Reece James is the only one. You might be able to help me out here, that I can remember under Tuchel.
Yeah.
Maybe Sanchez.
Well, he's the only one from the Champions League final.
Champions League final, right? So you think about that. I was only 21, right? And so it's a tough. Do I feel sorry for Maresca? No. I thank him because, to win the Club World Cup, Joe's going to give no credit at all to the conference.
He don't mind that one.
No, he don't mind that one. Don't speak to Joe about the conference, all right? Right, and I'm with him on that, but he's still got to win it, because had we not won that, let me tell you, we'd have been ridiculed.
Oh, yeah.
Completely ridiculed.
Rightly so.
And rightly so. But we still won it, right? And... Just. But we can be the only team that's won the whole lot. And then that next summer we won the Club World Cup. It turned out to be a competition that you think it might be a bit of a kick about, but actually when you watch the games, it was anything but. They were fiercely competitive, and there was a huge prize at the end of it, over £100 million, right? We got our hands on it. I didn't think we'd go and win it, honestly, genuinely.
Especially the way we started it as well.
I just couldn't see us winning. But we did. So I think we need to say thank you, Maresca. Well done. Whatever's happened behind the scenes has happened. There's a new chapter for Chelsea's, to look back on in the future. So, Liam Rosenior, good luck.
Let's talk about that slight middle chapter between Enzo and between Liam Rosenior, which is Callum McFarlane, who did a sterling job up at City at the weekend. I thought quite a lot of the commentary going into it was quite disrespectful, and people talking to him as if he's like a competition winner and his name's been pulled out of a season ticket holder raffle, and then you go and have a go. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's been coaching the academy for a little while in up and down the country, all different bits and pieces. Obviously well known on the London sort of academy coaching scene, but the rest of the academy as well. Jody, I'm going to come to you in a second, because this is obviously a proud day for Cobham in that aspect. But Zach, is that a great example of being given an opportunity, setting up brilliantly, and Pep Guardiola's giving you a pat on the back at the end of the game going, yeah, fair play?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in terms of maybe what he had to do with the starting 11, a couple of things were forced on him. The goalkeeper had to change. Obviously, Cucurella returning from injury as well. So maybe just taking a few things of players that are kind of used to playing in those positions. Going to left back. Yep. You're obviously missing Caicedo as well. I also think as well, it was kind of a free hit in a way. Like, if Chelsea had lost 2-0, I don't think anybody was going to go, well, that was an awful managerial performance. Like, it was kind of expected. So if anything plus from that was brilliant. I think actually where a lot of credit has to go to him is the in-game substitutions. Like, they made a huge, huge difference. Trusting Santos to come on and taking Esteval off made a big difference. I do think maybe you should have kept on Esteval and taken off Pedro, but still, made a huge difference. I think Liam Djellab, when he brought him on as well, made a big impact up top. And Chelsea had chances. Like, Neto probably should have scored. It was kind of mad that he did at least got it on target. And then eventually, after being able to defend decently well, managing to kind of ride our luck a little bit at times, there came that last-minute opportunity where Chelsea managed to get one. So I think he does deserve a lot of credit for the impact he made in-game, definitely. That's
something that the ownership do need to be praised on, Jody, as well, though, right? Because a lot of clubs, a lot of ownerships that come in, see the academy and go, that's doing OK, we'll leave that be. Chelsea have kind of stepped up proceedings, even so, the last few years in buying more talent, bringing more players through. The youth coaches that are being given that opportunity. Hassan Suleiman's doing a great job in the academy as well already. But that needs to be a blueprint that's protected, right, by fans, by the club, by everybody, because Cobham is the lifeblood of this football club, and that's shown it.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. Whether it's being protected as much as it looks like it is from the outside, I'm not so sure. I think there's been quite a lot of change in the building, what was already super successful. And, like, for instance, even the dugout at the weekend, there was so many coaches there that I didn't know who they were. And that's not anything to do with bad decision-making. That's just like what's changed at Cobham at the moment is clearly the new ownership want people that they know to be involved. Now, whether they've worked at levels to be in the dugout for a Chelsea first team game or not is another question. But going back to Zach's point there, you can't do anything but give credit to Callum McFarlane. Actually thought he spoke well after the game as well, where he didn't want to take any praise himself. He wanted to relay that back onto the players and give credit and talk about their character and how well they performed in game. And going to the Etihad and getting a point is not easy. So whatever way you want to look at it, whether you're happy that, like I said, whoever's in the dugout, when there's maybe other people that in and around the football club, is another question. But you can't do anything but praise getting a point at the Etihad for sure.
But we've seen, was it Antonio Conte that went there and didn't start a striker, and then another year?
Yeah, that was a painful watch. Yeah.
So we've been up there and had some.
No, and
journeys,
do you know what? This is where managers, for me, the best managers, find a way in a 90-minute game to change the. How can I grasp back where this game is going? Now, I saw us get beat by Aston Villa, right? Unai Emery, he came in for an hour, he had a game plan, and then he made 3 substitutions. Jadon Sancho come on, Onana come on, Watkins come on. And I watched the game change within minutes in front of my eyes. And Maresca didn't react to that. And we were, I can't believe how many times Watkins got in over the top before they eventually scored. And it's like, they made a change. That, and what I think we need to give Callum huge credit is at half-time, I wasn't unhappy with the way that we played. One or two individual performances I don't think was quite up to the level that I expect. But then he made the substitution and we were on the front foot, we were higher. There was an intensity, an aggression about us. And we were the better side second half. We could have won that. If Neto scores at that time, I would not have been surprised if we got that confidence would have grown and grown. We deserve that at the weekend. And I think Callum needs a huge amount of credit to change a 90-minute game because half-time, that's the moment you can do it, right? And he grasped it. Didn't wait for 60 minutes. Didn't sit there going, I'm OK, I'm happy. He's half-time,
fair
bang,
play.
and I'm going to make this next 45 minutes as beneficial for us as I possibly can. And he got it right. Look, you always need a bit of good fortune. 94 minutes, Gusto nutmegging O'Reilly on the... it's a brilliant piece of play. The cross has got to be perfect. But I felt he deserved it. That's how it felt from my point of view.
Let's have a chat then about Cole Palmer and how we get Cole Palmer back to the Cole Palmer that we've seen, because I think that's the first thing that Liam Rosenior is going to need to... Well, not going to need to, but he's going to want to address, because if you get Cole Palmer playing well, we're going to win more games than we're not. Yeah,
and look, Cole has had... It's been a long 18 months for him, as every Chelsea player. The Club World Cup, had very little rest. He's got a World Cup coming up. There's a lot of things, the injury, right, that groin. And you can see that Maresca was trying to protect him. From what we know now, he was told by the medical team he can only play so many minutes. The chance of you don't know what you're doing from the crowd when he got taken off against Bournemouth, then you get a little bit more of an insight as to why that was happening. But if we're going to get to anywhere near to the level that the squad we all know can be, you need Cole Palmer at the peak of his powers. And that is going to be... And I still think Cole's struggling from the injury.
Yeah.
But I don't expect this to happen overnight.
No.
I expect Cole, if injury-free, between now and the end of the season, more minutes, get Cole on the ball. I know it seems quite simplistic, but give him the ball. And I felt at times certainly the way teams set up, we struggled to find him. There were games where I'm watching and I'm watching defensive midfielders. Where is he? So we've got to come up with a way. Maybe Cole might have to drop a bit deeper. Maybe there's movement in front to create a bit of space for Cole. But I felt we didn't find him enough.
He's got to get into rhythm, innit? He's got, when you're that type of player, if you don't touch the ball for a long period of time, it don't matter if you drop deep to get on the ball. You need to get a feel. These technical... gifted players, they need to get into rhythm, and staying in the 10 where you're blocked out and we can't find you the ball, then come and get it deep then. Because, by the way, it ain't like you can't pick a pass from deep. No, it's true. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, you see him do that quite often, actually, don't you? Every now and again, when he hasn't had the ball for a while, he'll just drop next to the centre-back just to pick it up and play a little 1-2 or so. I think sometimes as well with Palmer, in his breakout season, no one really knew who he was. No one, so they gave him a lot more space. They afforded him a lot more. They would only maybe even put one man on him. Now at times he is double marked. But this is also where I think it's on his teammates to help him out, right? If Cole Palmer has 2 men on him, somebody's free. Like, find Esteval, get him onto it. I think people learned quite quickly that he was quite a dangerous player. That's where, say, João Pedro, you need to drop deep, let Cole Palmer go. But it's about also your teammates helping you out. And that also then comes down to the manager to instruct them to do this as well. And I think, yeah, it's not rocket science. Get Cole Palmer performing, get him into momentum, and Chelsea...
If he can do that, Rosenior, if he gets, between now and the end of the season, if he gets Cole anywhere near where he was 18 months ago...
I'll see you in Hungary for the Champions League final.
Right. Well, I mean, we're a funny club. Right? But if he can get that, I think a lot of other things might start to fall into place. Yeah. The Esteval one's really interesting as well because those two have hardly played together. Yeah. They've hardly played minutes because of Esteval's lack of time, the injury to Cole Palmer. You know, I'm waiting for Esteval, Palmer and Djellab. I'm waiting for those three to eventually start to play. I don't know how many minutes they play, but I guarantee it ain't many.
No. Let's have a quick look ahead to Fulham then. Fulham's always a tricky place to go, it feels. It feels like one of them on paper you go as part of a busier schedule, but it's always a difficult place to play football.
But it'll be one of those ones that we need to make sure the players are aware because Fulham can't stand us. Yeah. I grew up in Fulham and know what they think of Chelsea. But it'll be one. It's a game that again we should be relishing because it's like you said, it's a derby, it's a West London derby, and what better way to go into a Fulham game after you're picking up a point against Pep Guardiola team? I think it's one we got to relish.
It's a different test. Like obviously, as I said before, going to that City game, the expectation was Chelsea wouldn't come away with anything. The expectation into this is Chelsea would get 3 points away here in a derby, and so it's a big test. It's a different style of football, right? Like in the previous game, we knew City were going to have possession. Fulham are a good team. Marco Silva's a really good manager. And they'll smell blood as well. They'll smell blood. They'll know that Chelsea don't have a manager in the dugout. They'll know that at times Chelsea in these games can be lacklustre. They won't be up for the test of the physicality. And so it's a little bit of a banana skin. It really is. And I'm hoping they kind of realise this.
Always does feel. Fulham always feels like a banana skin.
It does.
And also, it'll be interesting to see how Callum approaches this because one of you boys said about a free hit.
Yeah.
Man City. Now, all of a sudden, this don't feel like a free hit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's had the free hit.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, go and do it again, Callum. Show us. We're giving you flowers. Now go and set the team up, and there'll be a trust element because what we went and done there, and also Casado's back. There'll be a trust element that happened very quickly against City in that second half. Don't do it again.
Would it surprise you if there was a little bit of communication between Liam and Callum before the game?
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
I think it's the best thing to do. Because Liam, now knowing that he's going to be the manager, you'd be back over the Man City game, back over the previous games and go...
Should be in the stadium, maybe.
I'd prefer to see these boys, because that's what I've got in mind. And why not? Why not?
All right, we're first week of January. Well, top four finish, is that?
I think it has to be. Like, it still has to be.
I agree. I agree with that. This squad has been okay. It's been kind of cobbled together quite quickly. But we finished fourth last year. Mm-hmm. Can't finish fifth. Can't finish sixth. Can't finish seventh now.
No. It has to be. We can't do what we done last year and spend the money that we spent bringing in all these players to then go. Oh, and by the way, the Premier League's hardly filled with teams that are running away with it. Do you know what I mean? It's been an up and down.
Yeah. Still half a season left.
Yeah,
half a season left. You can make a big impact. We've seen many teams, right, have a really bad first half of the season. You know, make additions, can make changes in January, and then go on to have a worldie for the rest of the season.
But by the way,
Chelsea aren't far away from that.
We've had a terrible December, which is not uncommon for Chelsea, right? Yeah. But it's not like we've had a terrible. Yeah. We're fifth, right? I don't quite know how we're fifth, but we are. Yeah. And I think the future can be very, very bright.
If you watch a performance of Chelsea and a performance of United, and United just below us on the same points, You look at Chelsea, and maybe there's the bias of me as a fan. I look at a Chelsea performance, I think I can see so much more positivity in that game compared to I watch Man United, and I think, oh my goodness, there's a lot of work here. I think if you compare the two, I'd rather, if I was to say like from an unbiased point of view, I'd rather be going for the Chelsea. You
don't know what both sides are going to do. Both sides now embarking. Both sides. So listen, sorry, I know you've got to go. There's a clutch. There's a clutch of teams. It feels like Arsenal and City are probably, and there are 3, maybe 4 teams, maybe 5, chasing 4th and 5th, because it looks like that Champions League spot. So it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
Well, kick-off against Fulham is about 5 minutes away now after that, Jay. Thank you very much,
Sorry,
mate. Boys, fantastic work as always. We will be back for another episode of Inside Chelsea next Monday to look ahead to the League Cup semi-final against Arsenal. In the bag, boys. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much for your company. Jody, Zach, Jason, brilliant as always, boys. Thank you so much. It will be the end of the season, of course, and Chelsea will have had 2 trophies in the back pocket. Top 4 secured. Liam Rosenior's boys. Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.